Hello and welcome to Moment of Truth on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. Well, the deadline has passed. The government was given a deadline to hand over unredacted material to the COVID inquiry, including WhatsApp messages, diaries, and notebooks related to Boris Johnson's handling of the pandemic. The government has refused to disclose some of the material, arguing that it is not relevant to the inquiry's work. The inquiry's boss argues that she should be the one who decides what isn't relevant. The standoff could potentially lead to a legal battle between the inquiry and the Cabinet Office. It is unclear what will happen next because there's no information about whether more material has been disclosed. And meanwhile, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has expressed confidence in the government's position, whatever that means, and said they were considering next steps. The inquiry, set up in May 2021, is investigating the government's handling of the pandemic and is due to begin public hearing in the next couple of weeks. Boris Johnson, meanwhile, in a bit of a surprise move, has urged the Cabinet Office to hand over the material in full without redactions. There's a good video by Phil Morehouse on his motivations on that one, so well worth checking out. Meanwhile, the Cabinet Office claims that some of the WhatsApp messages requested are irrelevant to the inquiry and could breach privacy rights. Quite what the government ministers were thinking, using WhatsApp as an official communications in the government is beyond me. It's beyond me. Anyway, Baroness Hallett, who chairs the inquiry, argues that the requested material is potentially relevant to understanding the government's decision making during the pandemic. The Cabinet Office questions the inquiry and the power to request personal WhatsApp messages and may ask a judge to actually review the demands of the inquiry. The dispute highlights the issue of accessing WhatsApp messages in public inquiries. Some Conservative MPs have urged the government to comply with the inquiry's request to avoid a lengthy legal showdown. There has been friction between Rishi Sunak's government and Boris Johnson over the referral to the police over potential COVID rule breaches. Boris Johnson denies the allegations, dismissing them as a politically motivated stitch-up. Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? Meanwhile, James O'Brien on Twitter has said Tory PM missing a deadline called by the head of an inquiry instigated by a Tory PM. It's also tawdry and desperate. Meanwhile, Sky's John Craig has said, we now face the extraordinary prospect of a government in a legal battle with an inquiry that it itself set up as we move from standoff to showdown. Yeah, tawdry and desperate. That really does sum up the modern Tory party.